Well, I would start with this. First, it's Ohio. Tomorrow, it's you.
Welcome to LOOPcast, where we cover all things faith, culture, and politics. Today, I am joined by CatholicVote Political Director Logan Church. For over 7 years, Logan has been an emerging leader in the campaign world. Having worked on over a dozen campaigns in 6 states, Logan dedicated her career to electing quality candidates to public office, and now she continues that dedication. We are so fortunate at CatholicVote as our national political director. She spends her time assessing races and initiatives nationwide in order to ensure that CatholicVote is empowered to make a difference on the ground. And this month, we are turning to her home state of Ohio. So we are focusing on the Buckeye State. And for everyone who's listening, the reason we are focusing on this today is because coming up on August 8th, and early voting is open now. So if you are in Ohio, go vote immediately after watching this program. Ohioans are going to vote in a special election on a proposed amendment to their state constitution. The amendment is known as Issue 1, and it would change the voting threshold for constitutional amendments from 50% plus 1 to a 60-40 vote. So, Logan, that sounds so insider baseball to me, and I'm sure a few people's eyes just glazed over. I'm going to encourage them to keep listening because can you explain to us what is Issue 1 in Ohio? And why is CatholicVote taking such an interest in what feels like a real kind of local state issue?
Yeah. So first of all, thanks for having me on. And it is a little bit of insider baseball, but I will break it down the best that I can. So Issue 1 on August 8th. For those in Ohio, make sure you remember to vote yes on Issue 1 on August 8th. That's all you have to remember when you walk in there. The 50% plus 1 threshold that we have in Ohio right now leaves us very, very vulnerable to outsider groups such as Planned Parenthood or the ACLU to decide they're going to come in and they're going to purchase our Constitution. As it stands, there are only 18 states in the U.S. that even allow constitutional amendments on the ballot, and our threshold happens to be one of the lowest. And so what does that mean for Ohio, and what does that mean for CatholicVote? Well, what that means for Ohio is essentially our Constitution is so vulnerable to the fact that it could be changed every single election. And when you get all the way down to the bottom of the ballot, most of the time when you read those ballot initiatives, you either don't understand what they say because they don't want you to understand what they say. So you either leave it blank or you just vote on what you've heard other people talking about, what you saw on TV, so on and so forth. And that's where the money comes in. So they're able to flood millions of dollars in and just purchase your vote just like that. And you don't even know what you voted for. So why does it matter to CatholicVote? Well, this November here in Ohio, they are pushing an Anything Goes abortion amendment. And what does this mean? The Anything Goes abortion amendment means late-term abortion, painful abortion up until the day of birth. We're talking abortion for minors without parental consent or knowledge. And we're talking about sex changes for children without parental consent or knowledge. This goes way beyond just a pro-life, pro-choice issue, and they want to pull the wool over the voters' eyes. So we're trying to stop them here in August.
That's really intense. So really, Issue 1 is a way to slow that down, to maybe give us an advantage come November to slow down the constitutional process. And I think that this is, for me, it was such an education doing research to cover this. It was such an education in why a robust constitutional order matters so much. And one of the things that I also appreciated was understanding the way that these billion-dollar corporations like Planned Parenthood are really just trying to purchase and manipulate Americans at the state level. I mean, Ohio is not a far-left progressive demographic, am I right?
Yeah, no, it's just faith, family, freedom. That's Ohio. I mean, it's a red state politically, but it's also the people here are salt of the earth. And it's so far from the California, New York ideals that people want to force down the voters' throats.
So let's dig a little more into what we're up against in this fight. What kind of budgets are we looking at from these corporations?
Yeah, so our side is used to being outspent. That's just kind of on, and it's gone that way for a long time, but especially with these abortion initiatives, we do grassroots, they dump money, and that's kind of how it's played out. So as it stands right now, up to date, they have spent $3.3 million just in TV. So there are a lot of things that we can't track. We don't know what they're spending necessarily on the digital side or with mailers or on a door program or whatever it may be. But what we are able to see is to date, with a month left, $3.3 million, and we're expecting a lot more.
Wow, that's incredible. So can you tell us a little bit about how Catholic Vote is actually pushing back? Like, what are we doing to promote issue 1?
Yeah, so we are getting involved on the parish level. So what we're doing is we're going in and we're working with priests who are interested in getting involved and working with parishioners who are interested in getting involved. And we're providing them with resources necessary to make sure their parish gets out to vote. So that's done in a lot of different ways and a lot of different methods for what each volunteer is comfortable for. But there are 891 parishes. We have over 200 volunteers throughout the state, and it's growing by the day. The energy is strong on the ground, and it's important because this is going to be such a low turnout election here on August 8th. Every Catholic vote we get in the bank puts us one step closer to success.
That's amazing. So you have over 200 volunteers. Are they from a pretty wide swath across the state? Are they geographically clustered? What are you seeing?
So it's spaced out, but we're seeing a lot in Northeast Ohio, in the Cleveland area. We're seeing a lot in the Cincinnati area. We have a decent amount in Columbus. And that's kind of interesting because those are the areas we need to target the most. So it's really exciting to see that we do have that grassroots support on the ground in the churches that we need to turn out to vote.
Well, and it seems like success with issue 1 could actually help us. It's going to go beyond even the November election, right, or the November vote on the amendment. So having a more robust constitutional protection for the Ohio Constitution could help us down the line with things like school choice or education or all these other culture war issues that are going to continue to come up. Is that right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I do want to make a point. There is absolutely nothing radical about expecting there to be a majority of support for an issue before it changes the state's constitution. The left is trying to make Ohioans believe that it is a radical idea to raise this threshold and we're taking away their ability and their voice, when in reality, we're saying, no, before you go and alter our state's constitution, we need to make sure that there's a strong support on the ground. Over 50% of amendments that have been proposed since 2008 have passed with a well over 60% support. So that's basically to say, if it doesn't pass with well over 60% support, maybe Ohioans don't want it, and maybe it shouldn't be in our Constitution. And so that goes for a multitude of issues.
That's a really great point. Yeah. Now, I wanted to just touch on too, what happens in your mind? You're looking at August 8th. What would happen? What are the stakes if it fails?
Yeah, so I mean, we're going to find ourselves in an uphill battle, not just in November, but like you said, moving forward, because it is a money battle. When it comes down that far down the ballot, we're going to have to really go back to the drawing board and say, hey, maybe we need to change the way with what we're doing things. And I think there are donors on our side that are capable of making a difference. I think they're going to have to step up the way that the ACLU's donors and the Planned Parenthood donors have.
Well, let's hope it doesn't come to that for sure. So here's my last question, and this is the big one because we have a pretty broad audience and not all of them are in Ohio. Why should Americans in other states be watching this initiative?
Well, I would start with this. First, it's Ohio. Tomorrow, it's you. So, and that's important to remember, and they're going one chess piece at a time. We saw it in Kansas. We saw it in Michigan. Now it's in Ohio. They're finding the most vulnerable states and they're coming for them first. And then once they accomplish that, they're going to take the next step and see how they can attack your state. It's really important that we're staying engaged and involved. And even if it's 6 states away from you, the value of human life matters just as much whether it's in my state or someone else's. So that's step 1. Step 2, if we don't band together now and say, hey, we're not going to put up with this and we're going to put up a really good fight wherever it is, they're going to feel like they can come and they could take over anywhere they want to approach. So that would be kind of my 2 cents.
Well, I'm convinced the price of freedom is eternal vigilance, right? It's really important that we recognize that we're all in this together and that people who are pushing radical abortion ideology and pro-trans agenda and woke ideology, they have a national view of this race, and we should too. So don't be naive. I would encourage everyone. I'm going to leave in the show notes the website. If you are in Ohio, we have voting resources for you to get your vote in early. Plan ahead. August is vacation month, so you want to make sure that you don't pass by that deadline of August 8th and you get your voice heard. I'm also going to leave some resources if you want to support Catholic Vote in our fight in Ohio. We could use all the help we can get. Logan shared with us what we're up against, and we know that banded together, we can bring down Goliath, and that's what we intend to do. So, Logan Church, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me. I'm on my way to go vote now, so.
Excellent. I love it. All right. We'll talk to you soon.